And instead of doing a PowerPoint and putting my PowerPoint away, I decided right then and there that I was going to make websites. So my name is Elizabeth Sessions, and I'm a websiteaholic. I build websites and share with people. So we're going to talk a little bit about the DOK, depth of knowledge, and we're going to also talk about how well tech integrates with the web's depth of knowledge. Now you're getting a 2-for-1 today because I'm going to show you the link from Mark's website and PowerPoint presentation for today, and we're also going to be using some materials that I've put together from teachers in my region. Now, if you have any questions later or comments, I have a back channel. It's called Today's Meet. I'm going to click on it just for a second here. And you can come in here at any time within the next month and ask questions, and I'll go back and monitor it and check. So this is your, after we leave here today, I can ask questions box. So I'm available to you not only this afternoon, but after we leave here today. So hopefully most of you are familiar with web's depth of knowledge levels and how we want to teach at the top, those levels 3s and 4s. And we're all looking for new ways to use these levels 3s and 4s in our classrooms. Well, technology is a perfect tool to use as you try to teach to the top of the web's depth of knowledge. We're all becoming more tech-centric. The kids walk in the classroom, they're using technology, they're familiar with iPads and tablets and smartphones, and I bet when you go out to eat, what are people doing while they're waiting for their food? They probably have their nose in their phone, including the kids. So, you know, sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's maybe not so good. But we want to harness that desire in our classrooms as we become more immersed in the world of technology. So we can't just provide the technology in our schools. We've got to examine the level of student engagement and look at how technology affects pedagogy and the delivery of content. So how can we how can we leverage the use of technology and create lessons that teach to the top of the web's DOK? Think about this. Think about the questions that you Google. Is there an Googleable question? If there is, it's probably not on the lower level of the Bloom's taxonomy. It's probably on that upper level. So I want us to kind of take a step back and a step forward at the same time. We've got 2 links here under step 1. We're going to go through a couple of steps here in designing a technology embedded lesson that teaches to the top of the web's DOK. The first one, it says Bloom's planning sheet, and I use this quite a bit. Let me see if I can pull that up. Here we go. And you have a link to this, and I'm saying you have to take a step back because you really do, when you first look at that DOK and the levels, I like the words here, but they leave a lot for interpretation, and I think that's probably where we kind of get in trouble just a little bit. We forget about these suggestions at the bottom, and it's when we go back and we look at what we already know, like your Bloom's taxonomy of learning, and you think about the verbs, but you don't just depend on the verbs, and you think about your outcomes that you actually see and understand how to use this web's depth of knowledge matrix. So we can't just look at the web's depth of knowledge matrix. We've got to think about where we are with the Bloom's taxonomy and kind of, you know, design from there. So let me get back where I was. Hang on. I'm lost already this afternoon. There we go. All right, so what I want you to do is, if you could, go ahead and open these up and take a look at them. Some of you are probably already familiar with some of these. Let's see here. This is one of my favorite web pages to share. You can actually download this as a PDF file, and you can save it on your own computer to pull it back up as you try to design things that teach to the top of that web's DOK. This, we're not throwing away Bloom's taxonomy of learning. We're actually going to use this as we develop those upper levels of web's DOK. So this is something you really need to think about. Let me go back over here. And what we want to do now is step back, okay, and look at your Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's revised taxonomy, and then take a step forward and look at your DOK, and then we're going to go on to step 2. The next thing you have to do is you have to take a look at your targeted course study standards. Everything we do should be built on a course of study standards. And now that we've integrated some of the newer standards, the college and career ready standards, the rigor and relevance is already built into those course of study standards. We've just got to take what's on our course of study standards and for me, it's putting it in child-friendly language and child-friendly activities. So you have to determine exactly what you want your students to do. You look at your course of study standards, you determine what you want your students to do, and you develop your essential questions. What is the most important question that you'd like for your students to answer in that lesson? Then you go in and develop your content area questions that support your essential question. How do fish swim? Why do they not drown in the water? How can we can't see air but we can feel wind? Those types of questions. So you want to develop content area questions, and you want to develop your essential questions, and you want to determine first what you want your students to do. Now, after you've done that and you've got an idea what you're going to teach, you're going to move on to step 3, and then when you move to step 3, you start thinking about your tech tools. You work backwards, okay? You choose a tool and you design first. I had just an incident just in my own life recently where I had to look at 28 smartboard lessons, and I was looking at them from a very critical eye, but basically what I saw was glorified worksheets. And I'm not, knocking worksheets, but I wanted a little bit more out of these smartboard lessons. So what I did not do is I did not build first. I did not give my students an example. So you really want students to understand what you are asking them to do. So work backwards and design first. Now I'm going to show you just a little example of a DOK level 3-4, and I used Google Slides, and my students are using their critical thinking skills, communication, and collaboration. Those are their 21st century skills. So I'm going to click where it says Goldilocks. And you actually, when you leave here today, should be able to go back and click that. And what I did was I created a template, and this is a Google Slide template. And what I wanted my students to do is go in and recreate this story in a modern format. So I basically put up a template, and I began the story for them. And let me move right back here. Because what I want to do is read you the directions first. These are my directions for my students. What happens when you change a very old story into something that could happen today? How would you adapt an old tale to create a modern story? Now, let me just pause there for just a minute. I'm going to pull up, let's see here, this chart, okay? And we're going to look under synthesis. And we're going to move down to these questions. And we're going to look and see where it says, how would you adapt blank to create a different blank? So you can see right here, I'm working on the upper level of the Bloom's taxonomy of learning. And when you move over here to your DOK wheel, we're revising, we're designing, we're creating, and we're using some of those level 3 and 4 type activities. So I'm going to move back to, let's see, Hip Hop Goldilocks report here. So what I did was I put a template in, and basically the template had the title and the about part. And then it had a bunch of slides that said, and then. And it also had some slides for setting, characters, conflict, and so on and so forth. So I started the story. So I'm going to read just a little bit of this. Goldilocks was so mad. This was the 3rd time this month her mother had taken her cell phone away. And as usual, it wasn't her fault. If her pesky brother had just stayed in his room when she was supposed to be watching him, she would still have her phone. Instead, he filled the bathtub with her mother's expensive bath bubbles and got water and bubbles all over the bathroom. Well, it will not happen again, she thought. I'll show them. I'll just take a walk in the woods without my phone and they won't be able to find me. Now, after this, I didn't have a clue what was going to be put on these slides. But my students actually came to the rescue. So each student had to fill out one of these slides, and I had no clue where it was going to end up. But you can, when you pull this up on your own later on, you can actually click, and I can see where some people are looking at the slides right now. So one of my students said, Goldilocks walked upon a beautiful antebellum home called Magnolia Manor. Her eyes were amazed by the green lawn filled with old magnolias, crepe myrtles, and pink azaleas surrounding the two-story white mansion. Goldilocks daydreamed of getting married to her beau on the long front porch. She thought, if only I had my cell phone to take a selfie to share with my girlfriends on Facebook. All of a sudden, Goldilocks felt a brisk wind, a little bit of thunder, a bolt of lightning, and a downpour of raindrops. She sighed. Oh, Mobile. Goldilocks ran into the porch and knocked on the beautiful front doors. Now, you can look at this later, but as each person filled out the her slide or his slide, I see she had shrimp and grits, and then she wanted some dessert, and she ended up at a Mardi Gras ball or a party. And then at the end, after they filled out all of the slides, and we're still working on this, then the students came in and either chose to do the setting, the characters, the conflict, the solution, the main message, a review, and then who would you like to play the parts if this became a Hollywood movie, and recommendations for other stories. So we've actually taken something, an old fairy tale, and we've turned this into something else, and we used our higher level thinking skills as we revised an old tale and adapted it to create something different. So that's just one example. You know, you can do many different things with your levels 3 or 4. It's not the technology, it's how the teacher uses technology. Always remember, when you have students use the 4 C's, communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, that's half the battle there. We forget when students graduate from high school and they go out into the real world, these are the skills that the employers want their employees to have, and sometimes we forget about that. Now, below you're going to see just a little graphic, and I like, if you've heard of the SAMR model, I like the SAMR model, but the problem is sometimes you can have a tool maybe on the upper level of SAMR model, and you can still use it as a lower level on the SAMR model. So I like to say it's not the tool, once again, it's how the teacher uses the tool. Now, I'm going to come back to this challenge in just a few minutes today, but I wanted to give you some ideas and resources that are open-ended resources to use with your DOK lessons using tech. So, this is your 2 for today. Here's the Mark Coleman site, and this is his presentation from AETC last year, okay? And he's got a little presentation at the top, but he also has a lot of tools at the bottom. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be Mark today, and I'm not going to go through his presentation, but not only do you get what we're doing today, but you can go back and visit some of Mark's resources. So, let's think about some tools, and these are just random tools. These are not all my tools. This is a short list. I'm going to show you the long list before we leave here today. I want you to be thinking about, though, how you could use these tools to teach to the top of the web's depth of knowledge. So I'm going to just, let me start with, here I'll start with one that's really easy. And if you're on the website, you can do the same thing too. It's called Make Believe Comics. And it's just a simple comic creator. Lots of fun for the students, but super easy to use. So it may take just a few minutes to load, but once you load it up, You can just click here to enter. And if you remember, back in the day, we had to fold a piece of paper into squares and then draw lines and make our comic book panel. Well, you don't have to do that today. If you're using a device like a Chromebook or an iPad or some sort of tablet, this actually comes in the form of an app. You can also download this. You can print it up. You can email it to someone. Now, what you would do, and mine's still loading right now, but you could click and choose a background or a prop or an object. And if you use the little arrows that go from side to side, you can click and put a background in. You can also choose words or objects. So now you're going to come in here and you're going to choose a character. And you can change the character once again with the arrows. Then you have the option of adding talk bubbles or thought bubbles. And that's up to you. You can move things around. Oh, you can't see the changes I'm making, okay? If you want to open this up yourself, and I'll direct you when we go back to another tool if you'd like to try this. But you can add people, you can add words, you can do as many panels as you want. You can do 1 panel, 2 panels, 3 panels as you use this little tool. It doesn't cost anything. You do not have to register. It's free and it's really easy for students to use. So how can you make this into a level 3 or 4 DOK? Let's go back. I'm going to pull up the DOK wheel slide here, okay? So I could design a cartoon panel that just demonstrates that I know my vocabulary words. So that's why I'm hesitant to assign a tool to a particular level, okay? Because it depends. I could go over here, and I like to consult my balloons when I start making something. I could copy my vocabulary words, and I could make some sentence, or I could make some quotes. I could go in here and outline or restate something, but I'd still be on the lower level of balloons or the DOK. But when I move over here and I predict or argue, that's a good one. An argue is a good one to use for a cartoon panel. I could disprove something. I could compare something. Think about the American Revolution. How did the Revolutionary Army convince people to join their army? Or if you were a Tory, how could you convince someone to stay loyal to the British Crown? These are great open tools that can be used with any content. So that's why I kind of like to show some of these types of tools. Now I'm going to just go ahead and skip back to my website. Let me close this one out. And I want you to be thinking of some ideas of how you could use that tool. And let's see here. I'm going to move to, this is one of my favorites, PhotoBusy. Love PhotoBusy. This is how I make my Christmas cards every year. But it's a great thing for students to use. So while it's loading up, it's actually a collage creator, and you can use it with photos from cameras, or you can use this with photos that you get from your the website or any website. And I'm going to show you a good search engine in just a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I hope you can see as I'm scrolling through the page, and I'm just going to choose a design. Let's see here. Here, I'll just choose this one. And it loads up a collage design. You could have your students find pictures first. You can add pictures. You can add text. You can change your background, and this is loading very slowly. You can change your background. You can actually use a photo in the background. Once again, you need to think about your DOK levels and what you're asking your students to do. What are you asking them to design, or what are you asking them to change or predict or plan or appraise or argue or convince with whatever product that you're wanting to use? So let me see if I can go back and find that again. Here's Goldilocks. There we go. Almost ready for us. I apologize, my internet's a little slow. I live at the end of the internet, literally. So if you have CenturyLink, I apologize because that's what I'm using right now. All right, anyway, you can go in and add your photos. So you would have your students save their photos on their computer or their device, whatever device they're using. Remember, this comes in the form of an app. And my poor family, I apologize to them I'm going to apologize to them one day. I'm just going to choose some random pictures, and there you go. You get to see them, and you can go in and add shapes and text, and here's where your literacy comes in. And you can change your background, and when you finish, you just click continue. And it prepares it, and you simply download it and save it on your computer. That simple. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think about how you could use one of these level 3 or 4 on your web's DOK, and how you could turn that into a level 3 or 4. You could use that to critique how people are, let's see here, solving the problem of pollution. Are they really solving the problem of pollution? Develop a logical argument, maybe critique something or analyze something. So this is a great way to get your students thinking and writing and creating. Really simple tool. You don't have to join. That's one of my criteria for a really great tool. And you don't have to put a password in. So let me just leave this page. I'm just going to pull up several more and just kind of scroll through here. Here's another super easy tool to use, and it's called Foti. I hope you've seen this one before. And it's a newspaper clipping generator. And you can click on it yourself if you'd like to try it out, because it's really easy. You go in and put in the name of a newspaper. And a date, and give it a headline. And then you start typing your story. And I'm going to type in Swedish today. And then you click generate. Now what I recommend people do is you have your students type it on a Word document, and then you copy and paste it, and it will generate a newspaper clipping. Warning, this is not for the Magna Carta. Do not type a long article and expect to see your entire article, because it will clip the edges. So this would be a good activity to do, maybe a paragraph, 4 or 5 sentences, a synopsis, a summary, or maybe a persuasive writing activity, persuading someone to maybe visit your hometown, or persuading someone to not pollute, or to use biodegradable materials or something like that. So this is a really simple tool to use, easy. When you finish with it, you just click download your image, and you can download your image, and you can save it and print it out, and it looks great on a bulletin board. So it could be called the Revolutionary Times, or, you know, the Civil Rights Movement, or whatever you'd like to call your letter. We have a hard time sometimes getting our boys and girls to understand the past and why it's important. So when we do things like this, we bring the past into the future. So let me just close this one out. And let's just move around here. Let's see here. I love Blabberize. Have you ever seen Blabberize? I hope so. We're going to see if Mr. Blabberize will come up. Blabberize lets you upload a picture, take a little tool, make the mouth move, and record your voice coming out of the mouth. So we hope he's going to talk today. Sometimes he's a little shy, but he has a very loud mouth when he decides to come up. So we're waiting patiently for Blabberize to come up. When we leave here today, you can go back to my website, and that webpage will always be there.
Welcome to Blabberize.com, the only internet site that you can upload a picture, select the mouse on that picture, and then record some sound. And this is when we get crazy. We make that picture talk to the sound. A talking picture. I'm not kidding. This is real. Okay? When we show it to people for the first time, they hear a boom inside their head. They are so amazed. They are like, hey, I just heard a boom inside my head. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, buddy. That's us blowing your mind, okay? You better believe it. And then we just, said, hey, we're already blowing people's minds. Why don't we blow people's minds some more? So we created the new version of Blabberize that lets you do crazy things like this. Hey, Eduardo, how do you like the new version of Blabberize? Last week, I was the biggest loser at school. So I'm Blabberize.
All right.
Friends.
That's enough. That's enough, Eduardo. Okay, we know you like Blabberize, but I love that tool. I've heard teachers that have used it before to teach the preamble to the Constitution, and that was a really nice idea and thing to do with the students. But love, love, love Blabberize. Another really easy tool to use is, let's see here, Tuxby. With Tuxby, this is where you can actually upload a photo and then you can turn it into something else. Once again, it's not the tool, it's how the teacher uses the tool. So you have a lot of options here, but what I like to, one of my favorite activities is to make a wanted poster. So I'm going to pull up wanted poster. Notice I'm not having to log in. I'm not having to join or create an account. So start photo editing. I'm going to find a picture. Okay, let me see here. I can use my son. He won't mind. He's not even here. He's in college. So we'll see if this uploads or not. And if it takes too long, we'll just stop. But what I'll tell you is you can change the poster. You can change the words. You can change the pictures. You can put in whatever you'd like. Kids will do anything to get their face on a wanted poster. So let's see if Mr. Ryan's going to come up. Yes, he's going to come up sideways. I need to go back and edit my picture. Anyway, I'm not going to do that right now, but I can change the wording. I can change the text, and I can update, and I can also go in and change my picture. So this is a great idea. What if George Washington had a wanted poster? What if King George had a wanted poster? Who would want King George? Who would want George Washington on a wanted poster? It makes your students think about things and from different perspectives. Once again, using those upper level DOK skills. So I'm just going to close this one out for right now. And let me close out a couple of my screens, okay? So let's look around here. And if you want to do a collaborative activity with students, this is a great little website to use, Letterpop. So on Letterpop, don't let the pro plan individual thing kind of get you sidetracked here. You do not have to sign up, but if you do sign up, you can upload your own pictures. And I have signed up before, and I've had students sign in with my account, so it wasn't really a problem. I just signed in on the student computer, and they could actually create a news letter. Sometimes it's a little difficult if you'll remember making things in Publisher, and it's hard to teach Publisher, but there are 301 templates on this website in different categories, and since it's getting to be fishing season, I'll see if I can pull up the fishing templates. Right now it's still a little slow. Here we go. Here's our fishing template. So I'm just going to pull up this one, and you simply click and drag and drop the template on the page. And then you would go in and put your title in, and you can put photos in, and you can type your text. So you could have different students collaborate and create a newsletter. You could have historical pictures from whatever time period, or you could even have a newsletter from a book. What if there were a newsletter about a particular book? You could have students take different parts and let there could be an article from the characters in the book. Now this is pretty cool because you can go in and add pages. These are savable, and when you publish this, it becomes a real live web page. So you can actually publish your Letterpop, and you would be able to take the address and put it on your teacher web page or your newsletter that goes home and share this with parents. So this is a great little project. You can give your newsletter a name. So I like this. It's great to use with students. Very creative. So this is called Letterpop. So I'm going to back up just a little bit and see what other things we can share today. Now remember, this is the short list. Two tools that I like to use for audio. One of them is called Vocaroo. It's an online voice recorder. You can click and you can record your voice. So this would be a good way to record and save your voice. I'm going to try this. I'm not sure it's going to work here on our WebEx, but we'll see. You can also upload, but this would allow students to record something they had written. I'm going to allow, and testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Let's see here, let's retry this one. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Let's listen and see if it worked. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, yeah, this is the good thing. Click here to save. You can actually download these and save them somewhere, or, okay, pretty cool, you can have a web address to what you said, or you can embed it in a web page. So you could copy this over onto a web page, and when people click the link, you would actually hear your voice speak. So you can download this in several different ways, but most of the time I use MP3. I love this option though, QR code. If you have tablets, you could actually record your voice and put up a QR code, or you could have students record their voices and put up QR codes. What if you had parenting night and you wanted to share some activities on posters or at students' desks? You could have them create something on a piece of paper or a digital project, add the QR code, and then the parents would hear the students' voices coming from the project when they clicked and used their smartphone. Most smartphones have the ability to read QR codes now with just an app or something. So that's a pretty good thing when you can make the QR code like this. So I use this Vocaroo for recording voices and saving either in the form of a downloadable file or maybe a QR code or a link. The other one that I like to use is let's see here. Here's VoiceMe. Mark Coleman's link is on my webpage. So VoiceMe is a great tool to use with your English language learners, and you can enter text. So you can create an MP3. Not sure this is going to work, but we'll see.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, so you can enter text. You could use some persuasive text. You could use some expository or narrative text, and then you could create an MP3 to save. So I like to use this little tool when I'm not wanting to use my own voice. It makes kind of funny different voices. I'm going to look around here and let's see what else. Someone asked about the Mark Coleman site. It's right here at the top. Like I said, I don't like to assign a tool to a particular DOK level. So what I do is I like to show some tools because it's your great ideas that turns a tool into a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the DOK. Now, I'm going to show a couple more really quick, and then we're going to ask some questions. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with Animoto. I used to be a big movie maker person when I worked on the older PCs, and then I got my MacBook and I started using the MacBook program. But if you're not really into photo editing, this is a great option because you can sign up for a free teacher account, and it will let you keep all the videos that you ever made in your account. And to create one, it lets you choose a template. Hopefully you're able to follow this on your own computer. And then you can create a slideshow. Not actually a slideshow, it makes a video. And you choose any of the designs. And once you choose the design, and the cool thing is when you set up your teacher account, you get 50 free student accounts. So it'll give you a password for your students when you create your teacher account. Not sure this is going to actually play across the WebEx, but I'm going to pull one up real quick. I don't know. We'll just see. Oh, come on, Animoto. I'm going to pull up from my videos, and you can see the literally hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've made in the past 10 years. I think I've been using this about 10 years. But you can always go in and play your video. It'll give you a hyperlink to your video, and you can download your videos. You can even download these videos. You can upload them actually into Movie Maker and put little short video clips from all your students together. Or you could make a CD and send home with the parents. Or you could just embed the videos on your teacher webpage. So one of my favorite go-to places for making videos with students in the classroom. So let me look around here. Now let me show you one thing. This is my short list. My long list of tools that you can use in your classroom would be, let's see here, can't even find it on my, here, more cool tools. This actually takes you to my original wiki that I made for sharing tools with teachers. You can click the links on the left-hand side and go visit the different pages for different free products to use in your classroom. If you click Clip Art and Photos, this is a link page to free photos and free clip art appropriate for classrooms. It's taken a little bit to load, but all free photos, free clip art, different places where students can go to download pictures without worrying about breaking copyright and looking at something inappropriate. Don't ever do a Google image search in front of your classroom. Just take my word for it, okay? Because you want to use something safe. You can go to the publishing page and you'll see a lot of the things that we shared today. And they'll come up in just a minute. There's some ideas for using cameras. There's some games that either you can make or your students can make. One of my favorite open-ended tools for the older students is at one of these websites. I hope I can get it to pull up. It's called classtools.net, and I hope you've used this before because it allows you or your students to create tools and websites and games and so on and so forth. I'm not going to actually sit here and wait for it to load. It's got one of my favorite things to make, which is a fake book page. We can't go to Facebook, but what if George Washington had a Facebook page? Or Abraham Lincoln? Here it is. You could actually have your students come in and use any of these templates to make games. I've used this one quite a bit. It's an arcade game generator, and you copy and paste your questions in, and it creates an arcade game. Here's the fake book. When you have your students create a fake book, it's not like their buddies come and visit their fake book page and post on it. It's strictly a one-horse town. Fake book is created by one student. The one student has to create the friends of the fake book page. So if George Washington had a fake book page, who would his friends be? Martha? Who else? Who would friends of George Washington be? Who would not be his friends? Maybe, King George probably would not be. The student has to make all the posts and add all the friends. I'm not going to wait for this to load. But when you finish creating your fake book page, it actually will have a real live address. It makes a web page. So lots and lots of goodies here for you to take back with you when you are creating your lessons and things like that. I'm going to flip back here. I'm not really going to talk about Google Drive, the doc sheets, slides, and forums today, but this is a great way for you to use these tools. You can use these tools, and you can also use the Microsoft tools for collaboration nowadays. So you can create a template like I did with the little activity right up here, the Goldilocks activity, and then have your students go in without having an account and type on your slides. So that's probably one of the reasons why I like Google Drive a lot. The tools are all collaborative when you set them up. All right, we have a homework challenge going on in my district right now, and I'm going to offer you the opportunity to participate and win a $25 Amazon gift card. How do you do that? If you look under the little graphic that says homework challenge, and you click where it says link to DOK Padlet, it's going to open up a Padlet that I created. What you're going to do is you're going to share your ideas with me because I'm always looking for great ideas. And I'm going to choose one of your great ideas, and I'm going to award a $25 gift card. So this is where you can share your idea. The first thing you're going to need to do when you create something on the Padlet is you would click the red plus button. Now, so I can know how to get in touch with you, the first thing you would do is put your email address on there. Don't need your name or anything right now, just your email address. Let's take a look at this first idea that I put up here, okay? It's a kindergarten idea. Now, you might be thinking, how can I have kindergarten students use levels 3s and 4s? Well, surprisingly, they're probably the easiest kids to be able to use a level 3 or 4 with, okay? So, the activity that I put up for an example, using a camera, students will work in pairs to take pictures and develop a logical argument to prove or disprove the following statement. All shapes are flat. Because remember, when we use workbooks, all shapes are flat in the workbook. So students could use just about any type of camera. They could take pictures. They could take pictures in the outside, inside. You don't have to have a camera anymore. You can use old cell phones or tablets or just about anything. Now, after the students take the pictures, the teacher is going to upload them to a Google slide or a PowerPoint. The students then visit the classroom computer and collaborate with another student to construct an argument to prove or disprove that all shapes are flat. So we have a hypothesis here, a very simple hypothesis that students that are 4, 5, 6-year-olds can answer. So this is an idea of how you could use a technology tool to teach to the top of that web's DOK. I want you to think about this because this is your opportunity to win that $25 gift card that's being given away in my district. So I'm sharing with you this opportunity. So what you probably would need to do is think of an idea that you could use in your classroom. Find a course of study standard that you're going to be teaching. Take a look at maybe this Bloom's taxonomy chart and take a look at your web's DOK. And at that point, you would go in. Let me close some of these down again. Here we go. You click the plus sign. You type your email address where it says title, and then you just start writing your idea. I would recommend that you write it on a Word document or a Google Doc and you copy and paste it in. So maybe you'll win. With this, I'll have the drawing actually on March 16th. So here's your opportunity to win a $25 Amazon gift card. Just click the link and add your own ideas. Once again, remember, here's some tools, here's some ideas. Here's the Mark Coleman site. You can use any of his ideas or some ideas of your own. If when you leave here today you have questions and you go back to my website, at the top, here is today's Meet Classroom. So after we close out our WebEx, you can actually go back here and type your name in. And then, let's see here. Click join, and then type your questions in. So here's our back channel for after today. All right.